When Grogu was introduced to us in Mandalorian Season 1, I know I wasn't the only one curious about what that meant for both Din and the galaxy. We hadn't seen anyone from Yoda's species since, well, he died in Return of the Jedi. I remember wondering if this was the beginning of a new Jedi Order. Was he related to Yoda? Why was he an object to be hunted? So many questions to ask and theories to formulate. At the time, I thought he would just be a temporary plot point. You know, a 2 or 3 episode arc where Din has to deal with this new curious creature. And who knows, maybe something like that was part of the original plan. But then, when Disney saw the ratings and the popularity of the character shoot through the roof, maybe they knew they couldn't let him go just yet. In any case, it became apparent that Grogu was here for the long haul. We didn't really understand his importance in the series, just that he had to be saved from the cruelty of the ex-Empire. It was an interesting time because Din found himself in a difficult situation. We'd seen the type of danger he was used to being in and the type of profession that he had. We watched him undergo all of these trials and challenges, all the while trying to keep this baby alive and well. It was intriguing to watch him walk that tightrope. Unfortunately, in my opinion, it didn't take long for it to get a little bit old. Grogu quickly became the focal point of the show, and he was the reason so many new fans were flocking to the Disney Plus membership page. You didn't have to know the characters or understand Star Wars to fall in love with a cute alien baby who gets into all kinds of mischief. The show was called The Mandalorian, but it had become The Grogu Show. I'm not going to lie, it got frustrating. Grogu repeatedly holding back Din from being able to go all out in combat or just to look after himself. Din wasn't being the badass we knew he could be. And I did like their dynamic, don't get me wrong. A lot of their interactions were funny and cute and enjoyable to watch. But I was beginning to wonder if the show would ever get on with the story. Flash forward to Season 2, Grogu gets kidnapped. Okay, now we have some motivation for our characters. Plus Din is alone again, so he can just be himself and do what he needs to do. He's a lone wolf type character, and it's nice to see him in his element. Eventually, Din rescues Grogu, and to tie it all in a nice bow, Luke shows up to save the day and render Din's 2-season-long mission as complete. In my opinion, we didn't need to see Grogu again. His story is done. Now he needs to grow and train off-screen so he can make an epic appearance in years to come. Maybe when he's old enough to, talk or not be a literal baby anymore. I don't know. For me, the whole cute thing just wasn't doing it for me anymore. Like 3 seasons in, I just literally don't care about him at all. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I really think Grogu should have just stayed with Luke indefinitely. Maybe make a cameo here and there to help out on a mission or something, but not a permanent return. But of course, that's what happens. And no, not even in Season 3. We don't even get that much time of them apart. In the freaking book of Boba Fett, he makes his epic return in the middle of combat. That is the first time they've seen each other since their emotional separation at the end of Season 2. This new reunion kind of takes away from that. The victory, the stakes, the sacrifice, all of it thrown out the window for a cheap laugh. So the fact that he returned to stay with Din 100% tells me that Disney was scared to do the show without him. Even if they had planned on his return, I bet it wasn't supposed to be in the book of Boba Fett. Maybe they were scared of Season 3 not releasing as well if people didn't think Grogu was going to be in it, so they shoehorned him in back with the story. So this whole 2-season buildup of Din on his noble quest to return him to his own kind was just kind of a waste of time, huh? It actually didn't amount to anything in the end. I mean, in my opinion, seeing Grogu in Season 3, I can't really tell that he's changed at all since his training with Luke. Sure, he can use the Force a little better than before, and he does more jump flip things, but he's still a baby. He still can't talk, and he still needs protection. In order to spice him up, they put him in the carcass of IG-11. At first I was thinking, okay, cool. Maybe the droid will protect him and have guns and shit. That would be funny and a badass twist on his character. But no. He doesn't have any guns or weapons of any kind. All he can do is walk around and hold stuff, maybe push someone out of the way. Tell me, how is this better than being a quick, agile, small target? If anything, the droid was a nerf to Grogu's character. If it was just a mobility thing, his little floating ball thing is 1,000 times more efficient than that clanky, rigid, slow-moving shell of a droid. And I'm sorry, but that suit of chainmail armor is kind of dumb. Just a side note, why on earth would Grogu not choose the lightsaber? I get that he's attached to Din, but isn't he more valuable to Din with the lightsaber? Why didn't he just complete his training and leave when Luke deemed him ready? So Grogu learned nothing of patience in his Jedi training from Luke freaking Skywalker, I guess. We don't even really see him wear the armor. So for his own personal motivations, he picks the armor to return to Din. Grogu is 50 years old, but I guess he's still too young to understand that he is literally returning to be a burden on Din. I know they love each other, but still, that's what he is. They didn't have a home yet, or somewhere that he could be left while Din was on missions. He doesn't just need to be protected, he needs to be fed and provided for. If he doesn't understand the gravity of what it means to return, or his place in the relationship, why was he allowed to choose to return at all? If he understood the sacrifice that Din made for him, he would never have returned. At least not that early. So Grogu disregards Din's sacrifice, doesn't care about the difficulty that he brings to Din's life, and does not give a shit what Luke thinks. He chooses to go back anyway. Okay, so counter argument. He's an infant. Of course he wants to return to his father figure. He doesn't understand. Okay, fair enough. But that just tells you that he's not yet ready to be in a position where he has to choose between responsibility and happiness. So once Grogu returns, a new problem is posed to the writers. What do they do with him? What is his role in this new show? How is his dynamic with Din going to continue? The answer is, they don't fucking know. Just keep on letting him do the Baby Yoda shit. Of course, Din accepts him back into his life, but I mean, if I was him, I'd be like, bruh, do you know the shit that I went through to get you to Luke? You get your ass back over there before I yeet you there myself. Lastly, I can't be the only one who thought him becoming a Mandalorian is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, what is going on? He is an infant. We've been over this already. He doesn't know what he wants. He isn't mature enough to choose training over adventure time with Daddy Din. He's not mature enough to decide if he wants to devote his life to this very restrictive, intense creed. Dude can't even wear a helmet yet, but I guess he's getting a pass on that. You know, the most essential components of their order. I don't know how to describe it other than it feels very forced. They needed a reason for him to stay with Din and an excuse to shoehorn him into the Mandalorian story. So, what's next for Grogu? Who the hell knows? I honestly thought that he would just stay with Luke and we weren't going to see him again for years. I thought that Grogu was going to be the ultimate long game play for Star Wars that would pay out in like a decade from now. But I think they were just too scared to see another project fail, and maybe the risk of lower ratings just isn't worth it to Disney. So, what do you think about Grogu? Am I on the mark here? Let me know in the comments, or better yet, join the Discord and share in the conversation there. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to support me as a Star Wars creator, consider joining the Patreon for $1 to support me, since YouTube will not monetize my channel for copyright issues for using Star Wars material too often. May the Force be with you, and also, may the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day.